Hey, what's going on, coaches? Coach Eric here and Coach Mark, coachestrainingroom.com. Hope you're doing really, really well today. It's just after 5 Monday. As we do every week, we have live Mondays here with you to answer your coaching questions and to go over some tips and sometimes some sessions, sometimes some live video with coaching points. So we hope you get a lot of value out of today's session and then also the past ones. These are archived on our Facebook page and you will find them in the videos section. So check those out. See the ones we've done in the past. Each one of them has a little nugget that you can pull out and apply to add into your coaching, your coaching knowledge and build your skills as a coach. So my name is Coach Eric. I'm co-owner alongside of Coach Mark. I've been coaching and training small groups, teams, and individuals for about around 16 years now or so, and love it. I'm here in Michigan in the United States, where we do have COVID still happening. Everybody's watching daily what's going on, so it seems like things are going a little bit backwards. So hopefully not. I got my fingers crossed that we're going to keep these numbers down and things will get back to normal. So I hope you're doing well where you're at, coaches. And again, we got a great session for you today, or a great training, I should say, a very hot topic that we get asked questions about, and we've written articles about, done videos already on in the past. So it is something that is a big topic for coaches everywhere, that every coach has to learn how to manage. So this topic for today is managing parents effectively. All right, so that's our main topic for today. How are you doing today, Coach Mark?
Doing really good, thank you. Yeah, it's just past 10 here in the UK. I've been doing some back-breaking work in the garden for the last few days, so I'm definitely feeling my age today, if not a few years extra. But doing really well.
You're a youngin compared to me.
Yeah, well, I definitely don't feel it today. So doing great. As you mentioned there, the topic of the day really is something that we get a lot of questions about. And everybody can empathize with either someone who's been there or you've been there yourself. So just to reintroduce myself, my name is Mark. I'm based just south of Manchester in the UK. Worked with Eric now for a good number of years on Coach's Training Room, and it's been a really, really great journey. We absolutely love what we do, and really just sort of our own coaching backgrounds are. Eric's got a really decorated playing background, and I've been involved in coaching myself now for over 10 years, and our styles complement each other, and it's something that we're constantly learning from each other, as well as other coaches within our program, and also just trying to create as much content for coaches as we possibly can. So the topic, and I'm going to glance down a little bit. I do apologize. I made myself quite a lot of notes because I'm trying to. It's a very, very big topic to unpack with very, very multifaceted topic with a lot of uniqueness to people's own experience. So I'm going to try and be quite broad, but also to the point. So this might work where it's a little bit interactive and we do take some questions as we go, but we'll be talking about managing parents, working with parents as much as we possibly can to make it a positive experience. So
just a reminder, coaches, real quick, Mark, sorry, I just want to remind coaches, please post any questions you have in the comments. Let us know where you're watching this from. We would love to hear from you. Sako just said hi. Even if you just want to say hi in the comments, let us know that you're there. We love seeing that. I'm watching the post. If you see me glancing to the side, that's what I'm looking at, is the live feed that's coming through, so I can gauge the questions and give a heads up as we go forward. If we have some time to answer those, we will. And so give us some thumbs up, some hearts. Let us know that you're there, that you're liking the content. And that also gets it out there to more coaches, which is our whole goal, because we all learn from one another. And that's one of our main goals, is to spread the knowledge, coaching knowledge, as we all learn from one another. All right, cool. We're good to go. Say hi in the comments, and I'll be checking for you, and I'll mention something as we go.
Okay. So I suppose the first visual that I'd like us to probably take forward with this, if we can think about the players, the coaches, and the parents as kind of a triangle here. So we've got the players at the very top of this, and then we've got the parents and the coaches as kind of the foundation for the triangle. So I think, and personally, when I started, I'm going to try and pull on some personal experience as well as, you know, the formal training. But for me personally, I saw it very much as it was coach and coaches responsible for the players, and parents are this thing on the peripheries that, whilst they want what's best for the players, if it's not managed properly, there can be certain things that become, you know, it could be, if you think of it this way, you've got, let's say you've got 15 players on your roster, and that's 15 sets of parents. And I'm going to say parents quite a lot here. I'm talking about any legal guardian here when I say this, but they've all got their own players' best interests at heart. So you're probably going to repeat some of the questions, repeat some of the answers that you give him, but it's important to look at this as a triangle. So player right at the top, we've got the parents, we've got the coaches here, and that is a structural thing. So if there's harmony between the parents and the coaches, then that's going to enrich the experience for the players. So there's two ways we can look at this. It could be that the parents are it's a problem, it's a hindrance, it can slow you down. If you're taking questions all the time, you can't focus on the most important part for yourself, which is instilling your own knowledge onto the players. But if it's looked at the right way and it's managed properly, your parents can be the biggest asset that you have. So there's two ways we can actually sort of handle the parent relationship. One, in my early days of coaching, I was particularly guilty of, would be because you get coaching, you get into your ideas, your methods, and it's great, everything's going good, and then a crisis arises, and at that point, that's when you involve the parents. So it's kind of, you're just getting on with things, you're explaining certain things as you go, but you really only communicate with parents when it's absolutely necessary, and it does create a little disconnect, and it can create a little bit of certain things where parents don't feel as involved, and they're left to draw their own conclusions, and then it can cause problems during the season. And what you don't really want as a coach is to be putting fires out throughout the season, trying to deal with parent-player issues while you're coaching the other players, because ultimately you've got one task, and that is to make those players better, improve their skills. But there's a whole lot of other things that need to be taken into consideration as well. So the first one is involving a lot of coaches I see as well, and I do include myself with this. I was guilty of this very, very early on, is only communicating with parents when absolutely necessary. You have your pre-season meeting, you get on with the season, and you get so involved with the coaching that you forget to communicate back to the parents with what's going on. And the other way would be active and purposeful involvement of the parents at all stages. So we'll break that down into a couple of ways. So I suppose there's a couple of times we can actually communicate with the parents, and there's our pre-season, and that is a time to get everybody together. We've got the in-season, which is ongoing, and we've also got end of season discussions. So your approach from the pre-season right to the end of season needs to be consistent, but also a two-way communication, yet also pragmatic. It's not the way you can come across, particularly at certain times, is read into and completely interpreted differently by certain people. So you need to, the same as you would do in the street, you need to sort of communicate with people how they want to be communicated with. So the thing that we're going to get with a lot of this is all things that we can address in the preseason. Preseason is absolutely crucial. If you address the right things at the right time in preseason, then you're going to give yourself a lot more time during the season to get on with what you need to do. If you get it wrong at the preseason stage, you can find yourself treading water a little bit in terms of trying to make progress, because you get so bogged down in other issues as well. And if I just reel off a couple of the issues, there is expectations of parents and also players about playing time, the position that they play, obviously number of minutes, and how often they're playing, and also winning. Winning games. If I was to say in my preseason meeting to my team, I wouldn't expect to win too many games this season. The focus is really going to be on the fundamentals of playing certain positions, getting a really, really good understanding of the game, and you can spin it as you can put it across a certain way, which sounds like something that parents will buy into. But as I've said before, for some reason, winning is just more fun than getting beat week in, week out. But winning is a short-term confidence boost. I don't think there's too many decorated professionals who still think about that time they won their under-9s gold trophy in the division that they're in. They're looking at, there were certain building blocks for them, and now they're at the top of their game where they want to be. And that's when they're reveling in the trophies won or personal awards won. So winning is a short-term confidence boost, but the mastery of skills is much better for long-term self-esteem. So obviously we're talking about playing the position that the players want to play. Parents are going to have certain expectations as to where they believe their players should be playing, and it's important for you to be managing those at the preseason stage. So preseason, and we did do something on preseason months and months and months back, but that is a time where we can actually discuss, and we can really hand this over to the players. We can say, right, well, what do you want out of your season? This could be individual, as I want to improve my skills, I want to make friends, I want to become a better, I just want to improve my skills, I want to win games, and then you can open that further. How can we help you to do that? And that is where we can involve the parents as well. And what we're doing while we're offering the players the opportunity to say what they want from us, how can I as a coach help you? Well, you can be supportive, you can be you can encourage me in the right way. How can your parents help you? They can come to games, they can they can support me from the sideline, and they can encourage me at the right times. Okay, what we're doing here is we're writing our own code of conduct as we go. And if we can get to a point where it's a document and we say, right, does everyone agree to these things? You can have somebody taking notes in the preseason meeting. Does everyone agree to this summary of today? And it's just point after point after point. And okay, so we can agree on that. We can sign it if you want to make it official, but that's something that you can type up and send out after that. And you can constantly kind of refer back to that if you like. If you do ever
great, Coach Mark. If you don't mind me jumping in real quick, I just want to hit the resource that we did, the resource we did in the past. It's a free resource, and actually I'm going to share the link in the comments here that will take you back to an article with a downloadable resource, where a PDF where you can make sure you cover what you need to cover in that introductory meeting, okay, that parent meeting. What do you need to cover in the parent meeting? And we actually do have an example PDF. You can use that as a template and then customize it as you see fit. And then also we do have a coaching code of conduct example as well on there as well. So keep a look out for that in the comments. I didn't want to forget to mention that, and that I am going to share the link in the comments. We also got Coach Luke Huntley, a first-time watcher. Wanted to say hi, make sure we said hi to you. Thanks so much for joining us first time. We appreciate you. From Cornwall, UK, or Cornwall, sorry.
Cornwall, UK. Yeah, that's like with us up north, that's where we look at as like a holiday destination in the UK. It's beautiful down there.
Must be nice.
Yeah,
he
it's really
coaches
nice.
U11, and they are just starting offside this season, or getting a training event lined up for the parents to involve them. Great. Perfect. So glad you're watching. And we got Coach Zibby, Coach Randy, Coach Kelly on, Coach Brian Smith as well on. So thanks so much for joining us, coaches. We'll keep rocking and rolling here, and keep an eye out for that resource. It might not be during the video because I don't want to miss seeing your comments or questions. But again, I will post that link to that resource. You can download the example PDFs and actually the articles you can read through about the coaching code of conduct form, and also the parent meeting agenda, actually, is what we called it. So, all right.
So yeah, just going back to obviously talking with parents, those open lines of communication can really strengthen relationships and build trust. What is important to remember is that you're always going to be asked questions by parents, and that is because parents care deeply about their own child's development. So you're gonna get asked questions, and it's about handling the questions correctly. So obviously, a lot of what you it's not always about what you say; it's how you're delivering the message that can leave the lasting impression. So if you appear disinterested when you're answering that same question for the 10th time, what you need to make sure you're doing as a coach is that you're able to empathize enough so that the first time you answer that very same question is the same delivery you give at time number 15 of that very same question for every single player in your team. The delivery needs to be the same. You need to make the parents feel like they are the only person who is asking you that question. In your head, you're taking that inhalation of breath because you're about to repeat yourself again. But again, it can be handled very, very well. You have to appreciate that the questions are asked, but it's also a special thing as a coach if you can actually take on board. What's interesting is we're all coaches. We all believe in something. Everyone's got their own coaching methodology, and that authenticity that we talk about in your own coaching methods. That is enough to be able to kind of any criticism that you might take as a coach, because criticism is always going to come if the results aren't going quite right. You need to be able to take that on board, but also you're not necessarily wavering from your own methods. So with that in mind, you're set. You've got your target on the horizon. You know who you are, what you're capable of. It's a beautiful thing if you're able to say to a parent, I take on board what you're saying. That's actually really good feedback. I didn't quite think of that myself. So whilst you are authentic in what you're saying, it's not always a bad thing to be able to admit where you see improvement yourself to parents. It just gives that really does kind of focus that relationship down just that little bit further, so you've got that bond, because you are going to have these conversations over and over again, and that just brings me on to perhaps just a couple of strategies, and hopefully I can link this into Luke's question there about the toughest discussions here. I'll try and kind of link all this together now. So if it's not addressed pre-season, then you're going to in the in-season, where you should be focusing on the actual session plan, that long-term development plan of the players, you're going to find that your time is limited because you're dealing with parents. There is it can obviously detract from the objectives that you've got for the season, but it's also quite emotionally taxing as well if you're having to constantly explain your decisions, or explain certain things that you could have addressed at the preseason, i.e. playing time, for example. It could be that, you got obviously a number of things there, but I think one would have been a confrontation after a game, and it was to do with some family coming to town and a particular player. I know certain regions, certain areas have a specific amount of time that a player has to play, depending on the age group or the organization that you're playing for. Then game time is they have to play 3/4 of every game. But this one particular conversation was a player maybe played for the last 5-10 minutes of a game, and this particular family had family come over specifically to watch the game, and the player obviously played barely any of the match. None of this had been pre-communicated with myself, so whilst I did feel obviously terrible about it, I was just following my own path, and it was an unfortunate situation. But it can be quite on field. You are very much responsible for the collective team. So discussing this right after the game is not the time nor the place, because emotions are heightened anyway. I've still got a duty of care for the players whilst everybody might be leaving at that point. But it was important to stop, take a couple of minutes to have a quick chat, but explain that I will clear any time to explain the decisions I've made, but I do have a responsibility for everybody here at this point. And whilst I'm sorry, this is an unfortunate situation, now is not the time, but I will clear as much time for you as you need in the right situation, because on the field is not the time to be discussing. So I hope hopefully that rounded off on Luke's question there. It might not be the toughest conversation. I think there's tougher conversations to be had when it comes to actually letting players know that they haven't made a team, for example. But that was one that was particularly that could have gone two ways. If I'd have acted, you're distracted by whatever's going on around you at the time. So if I'm trying to tidy up as I do it, my focus isn't on that person, and they could leave the field not necessarily focusing on the words I've said, but definitely on my dismissal of their concern or upset.
Mm-hmm. I would say that's right up there with right at the top as far as parents' issues, is that their child doesn't get the playing time that they feel they deserve, which is that one I hear all the time.
And it's a particularly difficult one to juggle, but what's very, very important is to not compare, because certain players will say, well, this player has played every minute. Now it's important not to get drawn into comparisons between players and focus on a player, the player of the player of the parents who you're discussing that with, and the focus needs to remain on that, because if you get drawn into those discussions, then it is not a good thing.
Yeah, great. Thanks for the question, Luke. Yeah, it is a tricky one. You're very welcome. This is what we do here on Mondays, and we like this interaction. We try to hit as many questions as we can. And again, as soon as this video ends, actually, I'll back up a second. I did share the link to the parent orientation meeting article, so you can check that out after the video, of course. Go to the article and you can download an example PDF. And then number two is, once the live ends, Facebook's going to ask you if you want to follow the live. So go ahead and click that if you liked what we're doing here, what we're sharing. Then go ahead and click that button, and it'll notify you when we go live, so you don't miss out on these lives.
Okay, so I don't really have too much more to discuss today. It was more just to round off on the fact that what we're trying to sort of discuss in 25-30 minutes here is something that nobody is going to not have to face at some point, and there is no magic formula for it. There's going to be unreasonable demands. There's going to be very, very difficult, and I do talk minority here, but there are going to be some difficult parents who do have unreasonable demands or expectations, and no matter how much logical or reasonable explanation you can give, it just won't quite be good enough, and that is always going to happen. I'd say always going to happen. There's always going to be examples of this for either maybe not yourself, but somebody that you know will have a coaching horror story. So just also remember that there is a hierarchy, whether it's director of coaching who will have all of the official club procedures if you do need to refamiliarize yourself, or just get somebody involved. So there is assistance for you as well, but certainly empathy and listening skills, and also just making sure that people are you're communicating pre-season, the times and types of communication and when it's necessary. So before or after a game is not the time to be discussing certain problems. Maybe clear some time in the, whether it's you might want to do a newsletter every 2 weeks, or just an email after every game, just to keep the open lines of communication. Just keep up with the communication though. Make sure that you are addressing any challenges head on with honesty and authenticity, because as a coach you do have tough decisions to make at certain points. But if you are letting people know your expectations of them, but also your expectations of yourself and what they can expect from you, when it does come down to those difficult conversations, which you are going to have, sometimes there can be a respect that is built from having making tough decisions, but also having the integrity to explain your reasons for the tough decisions, and that can really count in your favor and can again build that trust furthermore. So you're never going to please everybody, but you can also please people in the way that you let them down sometimes as well, as long as you're explaining your methods in doing so. You can keep that balance.
Absolutely, Coach Mark. Thanks so much for covering that too, because I feel every coach that's coached a season, at least one season, is going to have that difficult parent or that difficult conversation, especially if you're a newer coach. If something you might not have, most likely there's stuff that pops up that you never could predicted or expected. So that's part of the reason why we're doing these as well, to give a heads up on, sometimes let you know that like this is normal. It gets tough, but it also, so there's the tough side, but then there's the reward side of why you're doing it. Keep reminding yourself why you're doing it, why you started in the first place. And if you have that difficult parent, how far, well, like Coach Mark said, you covered it beautifully. Just as thoroughly as you can, as calmly as you can, explain through why you made the decisions and have that conversation with them. I think also one thing that's on the flip side of it is not addressing, just totally ignoring the parent can also have the same effect as getting, raising your voice and getting mad at them. So so address it quickly, I would say, and thoroughly and calmly. And Coach Mark, you covered it great, and that's perfect. So any questions, please share in the comments. We're so happy you guys are here. All I'm going to say at the end here is that check out the link that I posted down there. It's the 9 steps to a successful soccer parent orientation meeting. You can check that out. And then I feel like there's another article as well that if I find it, I'll go ahead and put it in the comments as well, that has to do with the beginning of the year, preseason. I believe we did an article on preseason as well, kind of make sure things you cover with your players. Oh, the code of conduct form too. So appreciate you coaches joining. I think we're all set for today. Any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. Thanks, coaches, so much for joining. Check out the link, the 9 steps to a successful soccer parent orientation meeting. There's an example PDF download there, and I'll also look for the code of conduct. So keep a lookout for that link as well. All right, we'll see you next time, Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure when this ends that you follow if you haven't already and get notified of these lives. We'll talk to you soon. Stay safe out there and have a great one. Bye.